Hi. Um, my hair is whatever. I didn't wash my hair today. So, my daughter went to sleep on the early side, 9 o'clock. It's early for her these days, and I'm not feeling completely tired, so I decided to vlog. And my topic is awkwardness with my across the street neighbor. So back in the wintertime, her husband confronted me. I think I might have vlogged about that, where he's kind of like, "Can I talk to you?" "Yeah, sure." "So, what's your problem? We've been very friendly and helpful to you, and now you're not talking to Susan or acknowledging her." And it was true. When we first moved in, they bought us. She brought over a pie, and I remember thinking, "Wow, that's so incredibly neighborly and friendly." And we developed a friendship, and including, only a couple of months after we moved in, Poppy fell down the stairs, and I was completely, like, I won't say hysterical. I wasn't behaving in a I was panicked and didn't know where the hospital was. And she volunteered to drive ahead of us, to drive there, and we followed her. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. So, yes, I was always very appreciative of that. But she also had a really weird side that I was wary of, like talking badly about all the surrounding neighbors. She had eccentric, to say the least, habits around driving, neuroses and phobias about driving, that seemed like something that she should get help for, but she really was all about just in re, um, maintaining her protective defenses, or, like just building her life around like where she can drive, where she can't drive, and like I don't know. It just seemed like rather than addressing like I have an anxiety problem, I need help, I'm fearful, I won't drive more than like 20 miles around my house. I don't know. She was odd. There was odd things about her, and I mean this is all ancient history, and I don't have to get into it all, but there was a buildup of some tension, and then she snapped and yelled at Paul for being on their property, which I always thought was like stupid of him. Kind of like, well, yeah, poor judgment. Like I wouldn't have gone on their property when they weren't home. So at the time when that happened, I felt really ashamed because I thought, well, she has she has a right to be unhappy with us doing that, and I felt sorry, but I also felt really resentful that she screamed at Paul because by that point, I mean, we were friends. Like I'd been in her home. She came to Poppy's birthday party. This wasn't it wasn't a stranger. You know, it would have been like way more normal and healthy if she just approached him and said, I'm uncomfortable with you being on my property when I'm not home, and then he'd say, of course, okay, thank you, I'm sorry. Um, but meanwhile, and I always felt when it first happened, I was like, I've got to go over there and talk to her and make peace. But my friend had just died, and I really wasn't in it, and I was feeling resentful that she screamed at Paul, and I was feeling really sad about my friend, and I just didn't want to go over and be political and like just say the smoothing things to make it better between us. I blew it off, um, and then like it started getting like where I wasn't seeing her very often. The phone calls to invite me over or to go to thrift stores, whatever, had stopped. And I noticed that her car was not in the driveway a lot more. And so I didn't take it personally. I was like, oh, she must have gotten a job. But it took a couple of months for me to be like, wait a second. Like, she is way not speaking. She's not speaking to me. And I think there would be some times I'd wave and she wouldn't wave back, and so it became a neurotic thing for me, like being fearful, like just wanting to avoid her, and like I'd look out my front window, and if I saw her coming out of her house, like going to her car, I'd wait for her to like get in her car and drive away before I'd go out, that kind of thing. And so back last summer, I forced myself to go to her garage sale, and I bought some stuff from her, and um, she took my money and was very curt, or like almost monosyllabic with me. Like she spoke to me and took my money, but there were no pleasantries exchanged. It was awkward. And after that, I was kind of like, well, because I was feeling responsible, or at least 50% responsible for the, excuse me, I have to text. Sorry. Um, I felt 50% responsible for the awkward tension between us, and guilty. I was feeling guilty, and so it was a big deal for me to go over there and like speak to her. And she was so cold that at that point I was like, "F you, fine. That's what you want. You want to like never. You want to act like I don't exist. I'll act like you don't exist. That sucks, but whatever. I'm not gonna like fight hard for your. Like I didn't feel like there was anything else I could do. Like up until that point, I was being like, I really should talk to her. I really should talk to her. And I was afraid, and I was avoiding it. And then I worked up my courage to go talk to her, and it was she was lame. Um, Meanwhile, all through the months, like there'd be times, occasional times when she and Paul would like chat a little bit. Like he's the one that gets screamed at, and he's like totally relaxed and unafraid and untroubled by it. So that kind of messes with my mind a little bit. Like, what is my problem? But anyway, um, he'd be out playing with Poppy, and she might be out there with her kid or just out front, and they would exchange a little bit of chit chat. Nothing too gushing or personal, but um, they would acknowledge each other and talk to each other. But I was after that garage sale, I kind of locked into like, okay, I get it, Cold War. So and I almost became I think I became a little less afraid. Like I would defiantly walk out of my house if she was in her front yard or whatever, and like go to my car. Or, like I wasn't doing as much avoiding of her, and because I don't know, yeah. So then fast forward to I don't know a couple of months ago in the winter, the confrontation from him, and I had such like bizarre mixed feelings after that. Like I was really creeped out that he kind of cornered me, and that he was speaking on her behalf, and I didn't know whether she put him up to it or if he was just personally fed up with the tension, and um, it didn't help the situation. Like, what was he trying to accomplish? I stated my side of things, my perspective, and I think he didn't really agree with it, and you know, it ended awkwardly, and I find myself really hating him. Like when I see him now, I'm just like, you asshole. Like he's always like blowing leaves with his leaf blower. Like it's all he ever does in his free time. Like he works a lot in the city, and then he comes home and like on the weekends or occasionally he has a weekday off. Like he just looks really miserable, and he's always like blowing his leaf blower. And when I see him doing that, I'm like, you prick. Like I used to think he was like kind of a non-entity, but like a nice. I didn't really have that much of an opinion of him. I have a visceral like feeling of like ugh. I wouldn't call it hate, but it's not good. So, but at the same time, after that confrontation, I was like, I got renewed. I was like, maybe I should like bring some eggs over and knock on the door and be like, here, I'm so sorry about the way things have been, but here's a friendly gesture, and I hope that we can, you know, patch it up. I just never did that, but I didn't do it. just the last couple of days we've had really beautiful weather, and she has she's a couple of kids, and one of them is a boy who's like a year older than Poppy, and he's been out playing. And okay, this is what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we all went to the beach. That's why my nose is so reddish pink. We went down to the beach for a couple of hours. It was wonderful, and then we came back up, and it was time for Paul to get ready to go to work, and he did that, um, and I had Poppy and Cody in the backyard, and um, they there's a okay. I'm not comfortable with being with those two in the front yard because um, we're right up against the street. There's no sidewalk, and I don't trust little guy not to run in the street. And he doesn't always listen, and he's really tiny, and so it's like too nerve-wracking for me. So when Paul's not around, it's like if you want to go outside, we're going to go in the backyard. So which was really bothering Poppy, because I said it had to be in the backyard. It made her want to be in the front yard more than anything else on earth. So that sucks. So we're in the backyard, and meanwhile, we have two fences in the backyard, and they're both locked, and which is why I'm cool with the backyard because they can't get out. So like sitting on our lawn furniture or patio furniture, and they're playing, doing their thing, and my sister calls, and I'm chatting with my sister, and they're playing around me like it's fine, and then um, I'm aware of them going on. We have a makeshift like chicken wire fence between the patio area and like the rest of the yard. But we can all like you just unhook it by the fence and you can walk and get in and out. So I noticed that they're going to the chicken side of the yard, and at first I don't think anything of it. I'm like, because they can run around there, but after like a short amount of time, I was like, I'm not hearing anything. Like, what's going on? So I go back there to that side of the yard, and the fence is wide open. They're in the front. Cody is almost in the street, like he's like at the edge of our lawn, and chickens are out in the front lawn. Poppy's just traipsing around, and Susan is across the street on her front yard with like three other moms, and they're like chatting and laughing. They're like pointing and talking to Cody like hello. And I'm like, my first thought is like, oh my god, like I look so negligent that I've let this 2-year-old wander out. He's almost in the road, and Susan's there witnessing this. So I immediately feel flushed and hot and flustered. And basically, why this happened is Poppy figured out how to unlatch the gates. So, oh my god, only like a minute and a half left. So, so Susan's witnessing this, and and the chickens, Cody, and I get close to Cody and realize he smells like shit. So he's pooped his diaper. So I have the goals of getting the kids back to the other side of the yard, to the backyard, getting Cody in the house, changing his diaper, and what do I do with Poppy? She's like, I don't want to go in, I don't want to go in. I'm like, just go in the backyard, but that doesn't mean anything because now she can get out of the backyard. I'm not trusting her at the moment because I felt like she was sneaky. And the chickens are just like, it was just like, and I'm flustered and trying to like figure out what to do, like what to deal with first. And Susan's there, like laughing her head off with her friends that are waiting for the school bus to come. I've never seen her like hang out on the corner of her yard and chat. I've never seen this happen before because she's a little bit antisocial. Like I always feel like she doesn't really have friends, like based on things that she told me and what I observed from their life. And this is gonna end. Oh my god, it worked out. Everything resolved with the kids, and I got it all done. But it was so awkward. And then today, she was like in her front yard like all day, and I had a lot of anxiety about going up front, and that sucks. And I think that's it. Okay, goodbye.